We got a problem! The fucking vehicles are blocking the runway!
I hear you, Bowman.
We finally begin Black Ops in a somewhat unique but very Treyarch way.
When you press start at the initial title splash, it moves to a new menu where you are looking at an old style TV with the options of which mode you want to play displayed on it. If you move your camera, you can actually look around the small room you are in, but we will get to that later. After selecting new game, the screen flashes white and we come back into reality with a man's voice telling us to wake up. We ask where we are, where Reznov is, but the voice tells us that we will answer their questions and if we understand them.
Do you understand?
Who the hell are you?
A bit of back and forth later, with us telling them to fuck off, we get electrocuted and realize that we are strapped into a chair in this room. The voice returns and tells us our name, Alex Mason, that we were born in Alaska, and that we had served alongside the CIA in an assassination mission known as Operation 40. When we do not respond, we are once again electrocuted and asked if the information just said is correct or not. After saying yes, we are asked where the broadcast station is, what the numbers mean, and where a man named Dragovich is. The voice goes on to say that if we give them what they want, our safety will be guaranteed. When we do not answer, we are shocked again, and we go back to the beginning, where it all began.
Let's start at the beginning. Cuba, 1961, the Bay of Pigs. We know you were there.
We are told that we went in with Woods and Bowman. We reply that we all died. And then we begin recounting that our mission was to go into Cuba and kill Fidel Castro.
A flame, and we hear a man named Woods talking with a bartender named Carlos. A brief flashes on the screen. We were inserted with the Bay of Pig forces in Cuba. Our target is Fidel Castro. It is April 17th, 1961. Soon enough, all the information on the brief is blacked out, leaving just the location, our name, and the date. Carlos tells us the plan to get us into the compound where Castro is when the Cuban army steps into the bar. Woods attacks the officer, and we shoot his other partner. The action begins, and we fight with Woods and Bowman up the city streets of Cuba, blowing up cars and shooting at the military through the streets early in the morning. We fight our way up the street and into an alley where a car is waiting for us. With Woods and Bowman in tow, we punch through the military checkpoint, and things fade. We are brought back by the voice to get a view of our character. He is beaten and bloody, looking like we haven't slept in days, barely holding on to our life, much less our consciousness. The voice recounts that we escaped the village and made our way to the compound. We get shocked again and are forced back into the memory of attacking the village. We are now above the compound with Woods and Bowman. We see a flare shoot out into the sky and then zipline our way down a mountain and take out some guards.
This is it!
The compound is under attack. We are taking advantage of the military being distracted as we try to sneak our way in.
Convoy ahead, do not engage.
We eventually break concealment though and shoot some guards.
Move quickly! This way, up the stairs.
We continue to fight with Woods and Bowman into the villa where Castro is. Once inside, we go room to room with Woods searching for Castro while Bowman takes to the roofs.
Bowman, take the rooms. Any trouble, give us a yell. Got it. Mason, on me. We search room to room till we find Castro.
It is tight hallways and hell as we fight against the military inside. We work with Woods clearing rooms one by one, stacking up on the door right behind him as he charges inside, being the point man. It all goes slow motion as we burst through and shoot the guards inside with our weapons. We stack up on another door with Woods and burst through to see Castro with a woman. He pulls her in front of him, using her as a human shield, but we end up shooting him in the head, killing him right there. He is no sooner dead when the woman herself grabs the gun and turns on us. We are forced to take her out.
Crazy bitch. He uses the human shield and she still protects him?
Woods properly addresses how crazy the woman was as we exit the villa to escape. We meet back up with Bowman, and the three of us continue our fight through the villa as it starts to collapse and blow up from the bombers above. In the courtyard, we are pinned down and have to survive against the military until Carlos and his rebels get to us to help even the odds.
Here they come, over the east wall.
Once the rebels help us even the odds against the military, we follow Woods and Bowman through some sugar fields and come out to an airfield. We scale down the side of a cliff and sprint towards an airplane hangar on the other side of the airfield while still fighting off the Cuban military.
He ain't let us down yet. We're leaving! Move it!
Can't wait any longer!
We jump onto the back of the plane and cover the plane as it moves to take off with an M60 machine gun. We mow down Cuban military and blow up trucks with the massive gun until we notice that there is no way we will get out of there as there are vehicles on the runway blocking us.
What? We got a problem! The fucking vehicles are blocking the runway!
I hear you, Bowman.
We jump off from the plane, sprinting our way over to an anti-aircraft gun and use it to blow up the vehicles on the runway, clearing it for the plane to take off. We watch as it takes off and flies away, telling Woods over the radio that it is okay.
I knew what I signed up for. Got me fine. Just go. Get out of here.
We get pulled off the gun by a massive Russian man and get a rifle butt to the face. When we come to, we see two Russians standing on a dock talking with Fidel Castro, who is alive and well. We killed a body double of his and are taken prisoner by the Russians, the man named Dragovich. He assures Castro that we will now know suffering beyond anything we could dream
He will
of.
know suffering beyond his darkest fears. I have plans for you, American.
Treyarch is back in the saddle and they show it well. Like typical Treyarch fashion, our opening mission is right into the action. No boot camp to ease us into the controls. The first thing that they have us do is shoot a gun and have a gunfight in the streets. The setting of the Bay of Pigs and trying to assassinate Fidel Castro is also a great way to start things off for the Cold War. We are handed a nice variety of weapons to see how they handle, from shotguns to pistols and submachine guns, and rifles with attachments now. Treyarch is also now punching close to the same league as Infinity Ward, I would say, with their set pieces, and they are stepping up the game with actual in-game cutscenes playing out in the mission themselves, blending with the game, something that would be carried forward in the series by every single Call of Duty developer. The mission itself is also a bit on the longer side. Took me around 15 minutes to complete. There is great variety in this time frame, and Treyarch is right away showing off that they want to take risks and spread their wings. The characters that we played with as well, Woods and Bowman. The hair-eared of you will recognize a familiar voice with Bowman. It is none other than one O'Shea Jackson Sr., also known as Ice Cube, a smaller part, but still a welcome one for a celebrity voice appearance. We also have been hearing Sam Worthington as our primary character, Alex Mason. There are a few other big name voices in this game, which I'll point out when they come up. With this said, I need to get on with my critical review of the level. The setup to the story is intriguing. We are a man strapped into a chair and being interrogated by mysterious voices. We seemingly have amnesia and have taken part in an attempted assassination mission of one of the most wanted men during the time period of this game in the world. We seemingly killed that man, then sacrificed ourselves so that our team could escape Cuba with the job well done. A hell of an intro, Treyarch. The gas has been pressed and you are putting it to the metal. The layout of the map and the combat encounters seemed well put together, with enough variety to the traditional bread and butter of Call of Duty to keep things interesting. What did not land though, in my opinion, are the breach and clear sections. Coming off of Modern Warfare 2 and how they performed so spectacularly in that game, what we have here is a bit of a letdown and actually feeling somewhat less polished than the rest of the level in general. For my rating though, I have to give it a strong start to this game. An easy B+ for the amount of new things and variety that was put out, and a very strong start for what we want to expect going forward as we play. There were still a few stumbles here and there, but overall I would say that what was thrown at the wall is mostly sticking.
Back in the chair, Mason tells the voice that the entire operation was a setup, that Dragovich knew they were coming.
He was behind everything.
He was captured and shipped away to a labor camp called Vorkuta. The reason we weren't killed by Castro in Cuba is because he and Dragovich are working together, and Dragovich needed test subjects. Mason describes the hell that he was in while in Vorkuta. But it was there in Vorkuta that we met one Viktor Reznov. The same Viktor Reznov who sang our praises during the Russian campaign of World at War. And the same Viktor Reznov who just so happens to still be voiced by none other than Gary Oldman.
We come to with Reznov fighting us. He's on top and punching us when a prison guard comes over and tears him off of us. But this was our plan all along, as we get off the ground and bash the guard over the head with a rock. Reznov takes the keys from the dead guard and rallies the other prisoners around him as they all recount the steps to their plan for freedom. We follow Reznov down the mines and meet up with a beast of a man named Sergei. We all board an elevator and perform Step 2, Ascent from Darkness. On the elevator ride up, another prisoner questions if we can be trusted, but Reznov thankfully vouches for us.
My life. He and us are not so different. We are all soldiers without an arm.
Sergei is the first out of the elevator, and he skewers the guard in the back with a pickaxe in a gruesome display of his strength. We scoop up the guard's dropped pistol as we move forward. We come to a set of doors, and Mason asks if the Russians actually understand what will happen once they open it, that they must know leaving it is suicide. We get reassured by Reznov that Russians know sacrifice better than anyone. The doors open and prisoners flood out, just to be cut down by machine guns. We rush with Reznov and Sergei over to a minecart full of ore from the mines. They both push the cart down the tracks, giving us cover from the machine guns in the tower on the other side of the yard. We use the pistol from before to keep the other guards off the backs of Reznov and Sergei as they push the cart to the other end of the tracks. Once on the other side of the tracks, we recite Step 3, Rain Fire. Looking over on the other side, we see another group of prisoners who also made it out alive pull out a slingshot. With it, they launch a firebomb at the tower with the machine gun, taking it out. We break into a building. Reznov tells Sergei to break down a door to the armory and that we have to go up to the tower to help with the breakout in the south. We go to the roof and see the other prisoners with their slingshot set up and ready. We take aim with it and launch more firebombs at the towers to the south and finish Step 4, Unleash the Horde. With the towers destroyed, we go downstairs and see that Sergei successfully ripped the door off of the armory and shotguns are now scattered everywhere. We pick up one of those shotguns and use it to shoot the lock on a gate and move on towards Step 5, Skewer the Winged Beast. With the shotgun in hand, we fight back against the other guards and make our way towards another armory. Soon, a helicopter arrives and we move quickly to a building. We use a harpoon gun to shoot the helicopter and it comes crashing down. We continue on to the main armory and fight down a hallway filled with guards. The guards are now trying to lock down their armory with a giant armored door. Sergei gets under it and stops it from crashing shut, letting us slide under it before it crushes the beast of a man. We open the doors, but it is too late for Sergei. We push on to step 6, wield a fist of iron. We move with Reznov to a repair area where he grabs a blowtorch when the room is breached through by guards in full armor. It takes a full magazine from our AK just to put one down.
Reloading, cover me!
We now have to protect Reznov as he uses the blowtorch to break into a vault. More armored prison guards storm his position, and we just have to sit back and kill them before they get to him. With the vault open, we go inside and grab the minigun, nicknamed the Death Machine. Step 7, raise hell. With our death machine in our hands, we go through the rest of the compound, cutting through the prison guards and blowing up their armored trucks. Everything is exploding around us as we kill and destroy our captors. Tear gas gets used on us though, and we fall. We black out and flash back to Mason in the chair, the voice asking if Reznov was still there. And we reply, Reznov never left us.
Never left me.
Back in Vorkuta, Reznov had pulled us to safety from the tear gas, and we are now on step 8, freedom. We board some motorcycles and ride them out of the prison as their train to freedom rushes past us. With a shotgun in hand, we get to basically be the Terminator from T2 and shoot at anything in our path as we speed down the road with Reznov next to us.
They're not letting us go without a fight!
We both jump onto a truck. Reznov drives it, and we take the gun in the back. We come to an area where the road runs parallel next to the train tracks, and we jump onto the train, securing our freedom. We look back and shout at Reznov, telling him to jump, to accomplish step 8 with us, to get freedom. But that was never Reznov's plan. He stays in the truck, and we see him get stopped by the prison guards. That would be the last that we saw of Reznov for a while.
I am blown away by this mission. It just shows how much Treyarch can flex, and they are flexing hard. This entire mission is what I will call a thrill ride. We move from segment to segment, each one never lasting very long, but all of them giving us new ways to interact with the game to make it a spectacle. There are limitations to what we can expect a first-person game like Call of Duty to allow us to do, but Treyarch is actively pushing those limitations. We are not just along for the ride. We are being asked to actively change our speed and pivot in how we play. From the simple action of picking up a rock and bashing a guard over the head, to using a newly acquired shotgun to blast a lock off a gate, and then further using that shotgun to bring down the winged beast. This entire mission is filled with pace changes that make it a thrilling ride and offering plenty of variety to keep us engaged and wondering what we are going to be doing next. We are seeing set piece after set piece play out. And in 2010, this is important because it is something that we as video game players were just getting accustomed to. Just the previous year, we got Uncharted 2 and Halo ODST. The year before that, Gears of War 2. And in the same year of 2010, we also got Halo Reach. All games that would give amazing set pieces to all the player. And Treyarch was not going to be left behind in delivering set pieces to players. For a score, there is very little that leaves me wanting more. We have variety in spades. We were given a tremendous amount of spectacle. It is near S rank for me. But under a critical review, I don't feel like it is quite there. A+ from me, easily. But what it is lacking for the best score possible is music. That is the only thing that I felt lacking through this entire mission.
We are in grave danger from the communists. Our freedom, our very way of life is at risk.
After the escape from Vorkuta, we are informed that we were assigned to one Jason Hudson, who worked with the CIA. We are asked how the CIA knew we were not compromised. Mason responds, saying that the CIA had tested him and knew he wouldn't break. It is now November 10th, 1963. We have been summoned, along with Jason Hudson, voiced by the venerable Ed Harris, to the Pentagon for a top-secret meeting. We get into the back of a limo to see the former Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, who begins to inform us of our mission to eliminate Nikita Dragovich as he poses a threat to the national security of the United States of America.
For the entire ride, we are pulled out from the eyes of Alex Mason and get various camera angles, something new for the series. We are escorted by Hudson and McNamara through the Pentagon, as the voice interrogating us tells us that they were always there, watching us. We go down an elevator to the nerve center. All the while, flashes of numbers and odd images go across our eyes. We walk into a room and see the President of the United States, one JFK. He tells us that we are in great danger from the communists and that the very way of life of the American people are at risk.
We are in grave danger from the communists. Our freedom, our very way of life is at risk.
We have the flashes and then a gun appears in our hand and just as quickly goes away. JFK all but tells us to kill Dragovich as he sits back in his chair.
You will need to be. Mr. Mason, take care of it.
And that's the end of that. It's different. An entire mission where we do nothing but sit and watch the scene play out before us. The most that we are allowed to do is move the camera sometimes. There are no secrets to be had. There is nothing to do in this mission. Treyarch is moving forward onto new ground with this Call of Duty title, making it much more cinematic. The story is the front runner, and they want to tell us the story they made. And honestly, I think it's boring. This is something that could have easily rolled into the next mission. Instead, this is just a free achievement and a trophy to earn for just sitting on your couch and not quitting the game. The pacing is slow. They kind of set up for what is going to be revealed at the end, but overall, if this entire part was cut out of the game itself wouldn't suffer. Like a butcher does to a cut of fine meat, we have to trim the fat. So I must sharpen my knife and do just that. This gets a D from me. This seems a little unfair now that I say it out loud. Treyarch is moving things forward with how Call of Duty will go about telling us a story. And for them trudging through this muck to try and find a better path, I'll bump them up to a D+ for their effort. It didn't land, but you can see what they wanted to do.
Did you sabotage the guidance system?
I was compromised. Guess we're through being subtle. Move to plan B. There may still be time to abort the launch.
The interrogator goes on to explain the mission that we were given by JFK, Operation Flashpoint. The objective is to rip out the heart of the Soviet space program and eradicate their long-range missile project, to eliminate their group of scientists, the Ascension Group, all of whom were former Nazis from World War II. There is a double agent in their group, one Grigory Weaver. He is our way in. It is now November 17th, 1963. We are now in Baikonur, in the middle of the USSR, now modern-day Kazakhstan.
We come to and see a helicopter fly over us. We have been reunited once again with Agent Woods. We follow him and learn that Bowman is also on site. We have lost contact with our inside man and move forward to the site. Woods gives us a pair of binoculars to scout the area with. We see a giant rocket, Soyuz 2, and the site is in final countdown preparations. We find Weaver, but next to him is Dragovich's second in command, Kravchenko. He uses Weaver's radio to try and contact us, but when we do not respond, he stabs Weaver in the eye. Woods and Mason move forward into the site, rushing to pipes and debris to dodge the helicopters circling the area. We see 2 guards and kill them silently with our knives. We move their bodies out of sight and change into their uniforms to blend in.
I hope your time for Kuda helps your Russian, Mason.
We come up to 2 more Russians, but Woods is able to bullshit an excuse for us to get away from them without arousing too much suspicion. We see 2 other guards get attacked by 2 other guards. It is Bowman and another soldier, Brooks. The 4 of us now together, we enter the Cosmodrome proper, walking calmly and blending in. Soldiers are rushing around though, as something has raised the alert. Brooks and Bowman get 2 guards in front of a building to leave their post. Meanwhile, Woods and Mason enter to kill the Russians inside, clearing the building floor by floor until reaching its roof. Once the Russians on the roof are dispatched, we take up positions to overlook Bowman and Brooks. Woods gives us a crossbow outfitted with explosive bolts to use against the Russians, blocking Bowman and Brooks from getting to their objective. We take a shot with the crossbow that has a cable attached to it, and then zipline across the base and through a window. Weaver was inside and about to be executed before we kill his captors. He has a bandage over his now destroyed eye.
Weaver!
Weaver tells us that he was compromised before he was able to sabotage the guidance systems of the rocket, and we now have to go to Plan B before the rocket launches. We get a flashback to the interrogation room, and then just as quickly back to the mission now further along. We are charging the launch platform of the rocket with a 5-minute timer now counting down. We have to get our way to the guidance control room and abort the launch before the rocket goes off. When we get to the building and blow a hole through its wall, Weaver rushes to the consoles to abort the launch.
Set.
We have to destroy the rocket, no matter what.
It is too late though, and the rocket is already burning and ascending into the sky. From nowhere though, Bowman hands us a guided rocket launcher. We shoot and then steer this new rocket up into the side of the Soyuz 2, destroying it mid-flight and accomplishing our mission. With rocket debris now falling from the sky across the entire Cosmodrome, we rush into the bunker below to deal with the remaining members of the Ascension group. It is now corridors of a missile silo, very reminiscent of the ending levels of Call of Duty 4 in a way. We work our way to the control room, fighting our way through the remaining Russians while Woods, Bowman, Brooks, and Weaver all support us. Once we are through, Woods tells us to get the hell out of here when we begin to get flashes again. Kravchenko ended up escaping, but we ran into Dragovich's limo. We engaged and made it crash and blow up on the side of the road, but never saw the body and could thus never confirm the actual kill.
Dragovich's limo. I had him.
Satisfied, Mason?
No, not yet. Not until I see the body.
Dragovich, did you confirm the kill?
Trust me. That rat ass is a fucking charcoal briquette.
This is where I think Treyarch got to play a lot with the standard bread and butter of Call of Duty. Because 90% of this mission, if taken out of context, is the bread and butter that makes up Call of Duty. We have enemies ahead of us, and we fight through them until we hit a checkpoint. The action then stops, we move forward, and then repeat the previous step. 2 sections break this up, supporting Bowman and Brooks on the roof with a crossbow, and flying a rocket into a bigger rocket to stop that rocket from rocketing off into space. On paper, this sounds rather boring. Not the pace, but the sum of what we are doing sounds boring. But then you have Treyarch spreading that nice butter on top of what is honestly pretty plain bread. We get a beautiful, eerie, almost post-apocalyptic feeling area of the planet where a giant rocket stands monolithic, preparing for its launch. We have Weaver as a double agent inside of the facility, Kravchenko burning him and making the man a Cyclops for the rest of his days. We are there to stop the Soviet space program, but also eradicate some Nazi scientists. This butter wasn't scooped out of a container. This is special butter with some sugar and spice, hand churned and given ice baths. It came to us on a plate, molded and already in a fun design. Does that sound a little too gracious? What I'm trying to get across is Treyarch earns a solid B- for this mission from me. I know that they can give us good bread, and I even know that it's coming, but they are not forgetting the wonderful butter that goes on top, and it is here to flavor everything ahead of us.